Hello, everyone. As the recent COVID crisis continues, I, like everyone else, have been thinking about isolation. I found this interesting aphorism from Nietzsche's Joyful Wisdom that I want to talk about today. So, first, I'll read it. The argument of isolation. The reproach of conscience, even in the most conscientious, is weak against the feeling, this and that are contrary to good morals of your society. A cold glance or a wry mouth on the part of those among whom and for whom one has been educated is still feared even by the strongest. What is really feared there? Isolation? As the argument which demolishes even the best arguments for the person or cause. It is thus that the gregarious instinct speaks in us. So that's the aphorism. So Nietzsche's enigmatic reflection on isolation is from the Joyful Wisdom from 1882, and it's understood within the context of his radical ethical position on the so-called death of God. Okay, so this is the text where Nietzsche, uh, the Joyful Wisdom is the text where Nietzsche explicitly proclaims the death of God, specifically a Christian God. And so here I've also brought in an excerpt. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically the subtitle is The Madman. And here we have a situation where Nietzsche poses a fictional account of, or a metaphorical account of, a man going to a marketplace with a lantern in the middle of the day looking for God and decrying that God is dead. And so with the Joyful Wisdom, it's mostly written in these bite-sized aphorisms. Each aphorism serves as Nietzsche's reflection on a variety of topics, ranging like this on isolation, truth, what he called the herd mentality, the death of God, conscientiousness, life affirmation, etc. So an aphorism basically is a short encapsulation of a basic philosophical proposition aimed at what's essential. So after the ideological death of God, dramatized by Nietzsche in the aphorism of the madman decrying God's death, Nietzsche urges living away from a Christian mindset and, more importantly, away from a Christian morality. So consider his sentence from the above isolation aphorism: this and that are contrary to the good morals of your society. So Nietzsche here is suggesting that our conscientiousness is weak against such moral admonitions. The good morals are the morals that take us away from life in the here and now, whereby Nietzsche felt Christianity did just that. So for Nietzsche, an ideal Christian life is one where self-abnegation, i.e., body denying in the name of the promised afterlife, is something to avoid. Okay. Uh, so once grounded to life affirmation, Christian morality in Nietzsche's time is evident in all spheres of life, personal and public. So to be sure, Nietzsche identified the corollary with our handling and education of scientific truth, whereby the ideals of truth often take us away from the lived experience of the body and ourselves. So I wasn't clear here. So I'm basically saying that Nietzsche is grounded in trying to get us grounded in life affirmation, and Christian morality is taking us away from that. And Christian morality in Nietzsche's time is evident in all spheres of life. So, in other words, all spheres of life, including education, seem to take someone away from uh, an immediacy of life in the body, of lived experience, uh, in the name of Christianity, and likewise in the name of truth or idealistic truth. Okay. So now going back to the fear of isolation that such idealistic morality brings about, Nietzsche proposes that even the strong people fear such an idealistic body denying consciousness. Okay. So, in other words, people that are life affirming are afraid of the admonitions that are brought about by traditional society that at his time was stringently Christian. Okay. So, in Nietzsche's context, we are afraid of the isolation brought about by the critique of morality. Okay. So the fear that takes us to what Nietzsche identifies as the gregarious instinct. Okay. So, in other words, we become more creative. This is what I'm calling the creative impulse. Okay. And what's known as Nietzsche's creative impulse. So Nietzsche was keenly impelled to write his aphoristic philosophy in the name of life affirmation and away from a traditional Christian paradigm of rejecting the body toward a disembodied afterlife. So with Nietzsche, we are urged to get creative in the name of willing strength and life affirmation in the face of ideological isolation. Okay, so we cannot fear isolation. As a matter of fact, in a Nietzschean sense, isolation brings about necessary critical thinking away from common, unquestioned opinion. And this is indeed a Socratic goal. That's what Socrates wanted us to do, is examine our lives to move away from common opinion. Indeed, a philosophical activity. The unexamined life is not worth living. And as a result, in a Nietzschean sense, we should not fear the isolation calling common opinion into question can bring about. Thank you.